You're listening to the Get Out of Your Own Damn Way podcast, episode number 108.
You've gotten all excited and brave, thinking out of the box, and starting to look at the things in your life you want to change. But how do you decide where to start?
Welcome to the Get Out of Your Own Damn Way podcast. I'm your host, Creelan Peters. Each week, I bring you inspiring messages to help you create the life you're meant to lead. Buckle up, buttercups.
Welcome to the podcast. Today, we are going to go through a formula to help you decide where to start making some changes in your life. So if you didn't join me last week, I want you to go back and listen to that, episode number 107, where I talk about the different aspects of life that you can change. And you can even download the handout for that episode, and it'll give you some questions to ask yourself and to kind of start getting a feel for where you want to change. Today, however, we're going to dive into, like I said, this formula that's going to really help clear things up. Because here's something that I know. We can get so overwhelmed with the different areas of our life that we want to change. We're thinking 5-10 years down the road. We're sometimes thinking a few months down the road. It doesn't matter. When we start to think about the future and all the things that we could change, it just can get really overwhelming. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of goals that we have, a lot of things that we want to accomplish. And I know that you have a big ass mission and you have a lot that you need to get done in this life. However, you cannot do it all at once. Like I talked about in last week's episode, you cannot multitask your way through making major changes like this in your life. You've got to do it one at a time. And I know it can be really hard to pick what one thing to focus on. So I'm here to help. And in an effort to help you, like I said, I created this formula, and you can download the handout for today's episode at Creelan.com/108. That's KRYLYN.com/108. So you don't have to remember it, but I'm still going to go through all of it right now, just in case, because I want you to get some clarity. I want you to see me kind of go through the process, because I actually did all of this stuff that's on the worksheet myself. And so I'm going to share some of my results with you because it's kind of exciting. I was a little shocked at some of my own results with this formula, but not terribly shocked, but I was a little bit like, oh, I didn't realize that was more of a priority in my life right now than maybe this other thing. So I thought it was really interesting to go through it. So here's the formula. Well, first of all, we've got the 12 areas that I went over last week. So quickly, I'm going to just go through those: family, friends, physical health and well-being, emotional health and well-being, physical environment, finances, spirituality and religion, education and personal growth, fun and leisure, lifestyle, career, and significant others. So those are the 12 things. So if you missed any, just go ahead and pause, rewind, or download that handout, and you will have all of that at your fingertips. Don't have to remember it. Okay, so today, we're trying to figure out which one of those 12 areas that would be the greatest place for you to start when it comes to figuring out where should I start with making some changes in my life. Okay, so you don't have to know right now. That's the really great news. I'm going to take you through this little process, okay? So on that worksheet, there are 3 different columns. So I'm going to try and explain the visual. So for those of you who don't have the worksheet in front of you right now. So we have the 12 areas listed, okay? That's one column. The next column is called importance. So next to each one of those 12 categories, what I want you to do is rate. That's what I'm trying to say. Rate the importance of each of those categories. Okay. So here's the scale. It's a 1 to 10 scale where 1 is not very important and 10 is super duper duper important. I want you to rate each area. Okay. So However you do that, just go through them quickly. Don't spend too much time thinking about this, because I know you're going to like overanalyze it and you're going to go, well, maybe this is more important than that. Don't think about it in terms of this area is more important than the other. Just look at each area. So start with family. How important is family to you right now? And that's also the caveat. I just want you to rate each of these areas in importance as it relates to right now, this present moment, not what's going to happen in, a few months or what's happening down the road. I want it to be just right now. So once you have rated the importance of each of the 12 areas, the next column over is satisfaction. And this is where I want you to put a number, again, 1 through 10, which 1 is least satisfied, 10 is the most satisfied, like I'm super satisfied, I wouldn't change a thing. So I want you to go through the same process again. For each of the 12 areas, I want you to write down how satisfied you are right now with each of those areas of your life. Okay, again, not comparing one to the other, just taking each one separately. So now you have 3 columns. You have the 12 areas in the first column. Next to that, you have rated the importance of each of those areas in your life on a scale of 1 to 10. And then the third column is you have rated your satisfaction level right now with each of those 12 areas in your life. Column 4 is now where we put this formula into play. And the formula is simply this: importance minus satisfaction. So I want you to take the number you rated for your importance on that particular area of your life, subtract the number that you rated for the satisfaction that you're feeling in that part of your life. And that now becomes what I call your change factor. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense for those of you who are just listening. It's going to make a ton more sense if you download that handout. However, this is the simple formula. And what I'm going to do is I'm looking at what I rated everything. I'm looking at my exercise in doing this. And what was surprising to me is that the area significant other came out at a shockingly high 7 for me. So that means that the importance is high, but my satisfaction is really low. And what you're going to find, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but what you're going to find as you go through these numbers is that, like me, you may get some negative numbers as your change factor. So as you are taking your importance rating minus your satisfaction rating, you might get a negative number. What that says is that you are more satisfied with that area than it is important to you, which is kind of a strange thing to think, but that's actually pretty cool. So it may, like for me, I put in one of my areas, I put a satisfaction of a 5 a satisfaction of 6 and an importance of 5. So it's right now it's kind of like in the middle of importance for me. I feel like it's, going pretty well, so it doesn't need a lot of attention, but my satisfaction is a little higher. So then I get a negative number for my change factor, which means I don't need to pay any attention to that right now because I'm pretty darn satisfied. I'm more satisfied than it is important to me, if that makes sense. So that's one thing that can happen. So I don't want you to freak out if you get a negative number. That's okay. That just means that we don't need to focus on that right now. It's not an area that's a priority. What I want you to focus on are the numbers that have the highest number, and that's on a scale of 10. So the closer it is to a 10, the more priority it is or needs to be as far as which area in your life you want to look at. So when I went through this exercise, my highest number was a 7, and it was on the area of significant other. So this is a really interesting thing because I recently started back into the dating scene. So for me, I already kind of knew that this was an important part of my life and that I had low satisfaction. So I've already started taking steps to change that, which is pretty cool. But what I thought was interesting is that my satisfaction is still at a 2. So for me, that says, oh my gosh, this is an area that needs my attention, and I'm giving it. So it's like already happening, which is really cool. But then my next highest number was a 5 as far as my change factor goes. So I know, well, maybe that's not as important. However, let me just tell you this, that my second highest rating in my change factor was for fun and leisure, which I think is interesting because I think that goes along with my top rated one, which is significant other and entering the dating scene again. So my goal is to have fun and have a significant other. So they kind of go together. So remember I said last week, and I also said earlier in this episode, that I really just want you to focus on one thing. The cool thing is, as I focus in on dating and looking for a significant other, then my fun is automatically kind of taken care of in that area. So that's pretty cool how that just kind of works out. So when I say focus on one thing, it's also because as you change in one area, as you focus in on one area, some of the other areas are going to take care of themselves, which is a really cool thing. But if I were to focus on so many things at one time, then it's just nothing is really going to get my full attention. And I know myself, and it's just, I'm not going to be terribly happy if I have to split my attention on 5 million different things. Once you have filled out the worksheet or gone through the formula on your own, using this formula, so the importance minus the satisfaction to get your change factor number, what I want you to do is look at those change factor numbers, and the one that has the highest number, so the one closest to 10, is the area that you want to focus on right now. So this is going to take out the emotion and the drama out of your decision-making process, and it's just a formula that's based on your ratings, and you can say, oh, well, this is what my number is, so this is where I need to start. And I'm not saying that it's set in stone, because I know that you're going to second guess it. And if you do, go back and listen to my episode on second guessing. I'll put that in the show notes so that you can quickly reference it, because I know that you do that. I know you're going to second guess it. However, I'm trying to take that out of the equation by just letting you have this little process that's going to be really easy to focus on and get you thinking more in terms of, where is it that I want to be? What's important to me? And where is my satisfaction lacking? And just by stripping out everything but those two factors right now, it's going to give you a really good clue on where to start and focus your energy on what area of your life you want to change right now. Stay tuned as I continue to explore all about the process of change and help give you tips and tools you can use to make fantabulous changes in your life.
Thanks for listening to the Get Out of Your Own Damn Way podcast. If you've been inspired, please share the podcast with your friends. You can find us on iTunes or at Krylyn.com. KRYLYN.com.